So being honest with you, I think I said in my opening statement that in terms of the impact of COVID-19 and the rape crisis, those are two proportional cases but have warranted consequences. The current rape pandemic in Liberia have far more devastating impact than our COVID-19 crisis. Around the world, Liberia has very fewer cases, very fewer cases, and I mean that is manageable. Our death rate is just at a very low case, but we have had more alleged rape cases in communities and counties and across rural spaces. Uh, that's more in terms of numerical figure and ratio than the current crisis we have with the COVID-19. And you know the impact of rape. Raping a child, she's been deprived of her childhood. Children account for two-thirds of the rape crisis we have in Liberia now, as in terms of the current growth rate of children being raped, sexually molested on a daily account. In terms of the statistics we have with self-assessment, a child is being raped every single day in Liberia. And I mean, when we talk about child, we talk about 2 years, 3 years, now even below, now even closer to 18 years. And the case of Mariah Willie, which was an alleged case, we had a child who had fistula. Fistula is some of the common cause of forcefully penetrating a child. So the health impediment, the social discrimination and stigmatization, lasting scar, and death are very devastating consequence we have. We need to be very much excited about and enthusiastic to be able to push our government to the core, because this is not just an issue. This is a crime. This is a death in itself, and this is something that children and victims and survivors all across Liberia have to live with such a lasting stigma. And when we care about these issues, because we know those are issues that have an impediment to creating chaotic stage in our society where women will be seen psychologically imbalanced, or victims and survivors don't even have a space to have their face in society. They are the most stigmatized, most discriminated, or most stereotyped, prejudice against them never end, and we have death and consequences that are liable to children who are being molested. So I think we need to be ready.
Okay.
That's about it.
All right. Thank you very much. So we just have 1 minute to respond. Please take time into consideration. So yeah, who's going to respond next? Yeah, if you are responding.
Yep.
Yeah, go ahead.
One of the things that worries me, like I said, my attention is drawn to is the issue of babies being raped. And I would like to concur with Fadila, who said that there is a need that we understand to why some of these things have been done. Because if you look at the statistics of rape cases now in Liberia, you find out that the children, they are more affected, they are the ones who are raped than even the older group of people. And that troubles me a lot. That is something that I think we need to start focusing on as well to work on, because it doesn't appear normal. Like me, I believe that people who are even on the defensive of saying it is dress code that lead to some of these people being raped. And then I'm asking, what about the babies? What about Muslims who wear the hijab from head to toes, but yet they are still raped? Are you going to tell me that it's because of their dress code? Maybe they are trying to apologize, to be an apologist, or a defendant of rape, or some other thing they are doing. I work with a community-based organization, and that's one thing we have been focusing on. We work, especially when we work with the deaf and dumb community. Sorry, I'm calling them that way, but they are classified as the speaking impaired group of people. We have been able to work with them to understand what are some of these issues that are affecting them, and why do people go to the extent of raping babies. That is something that worries me, and I think we can focus our work towards that direction as well. Thank you.
All right, thank you. You have to unmute.
Yep.
Mistress, yeah, you have to unmute.
Falling.
You have to unmute.
Madam Gata, you're welcome.
With the trend of high wave of sexual gender-based violence in our country, women and children may not be able to achieve their potentials, their full potentials.
Okay.
Children will be unable to achieve their dreams. I'm worried because I'm a woman. I could rape at any time in the Republic of Liberia. I'm worried because my daughters and other women, babies could be raped at any point in time. I'm deeply worried because there's no political will. We don't see our leaders making an effort to end this madness in our society. So there's a lot to worry about. However, I'm very, very optimistic that if we work together, we can be able to defeat sexual and gender-based violence. And I'm also hopeful because I see a lot of young men, a lot of young women, boys, girls, all involved in this fight. And that gives me a lot of hope.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm worried. I'm also hopeful that this disease, this epidemic, will be able to come to a close soon.
All right. Thank you very much. So, Pauline, were you coming?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
So
so
after
thank
Pauline,
you.
we will take a question from the. We'll take a question from a participant.
I guess whenever I try to reflect on this whole situation of rape and sexual violence in Liberia, then it brings tears to my eyes. What worries me? I'm really worried about a safe space for Liberian children. I'm worried that many girls will not be able to return to school, either because they are pregnant or because they have been sexually abused and they are all going counseling and medical examination. This is sad. I'm worried when pastors and police officers are raping our girls. Communities are compromising rape cases. Where are we heading? But like one of our panelists said, that as much as Liberians are now saying enough is enough, I think we should reflect on our fear. I'm worried that I will also be the next victim. I could be raped. My sister could be raped. I'm really worried about this and deeply sad about this situation. But as we go forward, I know that we can all combine efforts and see how best we can end sexual violence in Liberia.
Thank you very much. So Mr. Hassan Francis Woodfield is the national president for Liberian student here in China. So he just raised his hand, Mr. Woodfield. On mute.
No, thank you very much, Brother Luke and the other participant and the panelists for this fascinating topic. I just had a question. When you said there'll be one question, that's the reason why I'm raising my hands and to know whether I could be given an opportunity to ask a question. That's what I wanted to know.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So my question is to the panelists. In as much that I will not support rape, I will also not support a kind of imbalanced punishment for those who might be involved with the process or those who might be set up with the process. Because we should clearly understand that in as much babies are being raped, left with teens, teenagers, and even others, there are also points wherein there could be political manipulations, there could be other manipulations to set people up and say that maybe they were involved with rape or other issues. So my question is this: if today I had the opportunity to sit before the policymakers to recommend penalties for people who might be involved with rape, what will your recommendation be?
All right, so he just asked, what will your recommendation be to policymakers?
Luke,
Yeah.
let me start. Firstly, thank you for that question. When you hear in most of our advocacy, when we say fix the system, this is part of fix the system. As it is now, like I mentioned, the rape law is not even clear. about the minimum sentencing of people when they are convicted of the crime. Another factor that plays in is the process for people to have justice. So like you said, it is set up. If we have a system that cases can be thoroughly interrogated, that the trial process can be speeded, that the LFB will investigate and be able to charge that alleged perpetrator and send them to court, that is going to the court, because don't forget, the court makes the final decision. The court decides on what is happening. In recent time, there is an interministerial group that was set up, which the Gender Ministry is a part of, the Justice Ministry is also a part of, that presented recommendations to the president. And one of the things that the president recommended is that even mandated the finance minister is to do was to get a DNA machine. So in a case where somebody is accused of being raped, and you tell me that I raped you, if we have the DNA machine that somebody is well trained to organize, that is also going to help in the process of proving whether you were set up or you were not set up. That is why the awareness is also about educating the people that when there is a case or a person has been victimized, the first thing to do while you are calling the police is to also report to a nearest health facility. That is why we encourage all of these one-stop centers as well. When you report to a health facility where you can be checked to prove that yes, this thing happened, and we have a DNA machine in that process, I think people are not going to be accused falsely as most people are thinking it's going to be. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. We are getting feedback from one of the participants. Can they mute? Oh my gosh. Can you mute your speaker, please? Okay, so any response?
Hello? Yeah.
So do we have any response from?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, so he's talking about what could be our recommendation if we are to sit before lawmakers.
Yeah.
I think, yes, why it is true that we need to revisit our laws, but I also see that our problem here is the issue of implementation. The issue of implementation and the issue of using holistic approach. I will continue to say this. The government of Liberia should not see civil society actors or youth advocates as enemy of the states, but they should see us as strong partners. Because today, most of these issues are reported because of community-based organizations for which we salute our colleagues who are working in rural places. So the issue of partnership and the issue of implementation of those laws are very, the background. The issue of those laws are very, hello?
Yeah, continue.
Yes, that the implementation of those laws are very important. Our government needs to revisit their budget. It is so sad for a police officer to tell you that you have to transport the victim, even in low-fat country, in those places. Parents cannot even afford their daily bread before they will be able to even afford $40 back money to make sure that the child seek justice. So the government, civil society group, every one of us young people will have our role to play. Government need to embrace us. That's the reason I was one person who was so sad when the president refused to accept the young people petition. However, I appreciate a recent commitment calling for the 2 days national dialogue and the Minister of Gender presenting a roadmap. I think we are making progress, and I want to appreciate the government for that. But I want to recommend on this online meeting that the government need to see another approach of working with young people, working with CBO. But this, I can tell you that we will have a way forward. We can revisit our law, and those things that are on the board can be implemented. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. So before we come to the next participant, I would just like to ask another question to our panelists. So at most 1 minute is okay to respond to the question. The traditional engagements to wait for incident to occur before speaking out or protesting of activists seems to not be working to that extent. What more practical approaches do you think CSO organizations, pressure groups, or all of the activists can take to stop rape from happening in the first place? Did you get the question?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so who responding?
I think somebody else can go.
Okay.
Let me just respond quickly. I mean, several of the panelists have stressed the essence of a holistic approach. And when you talk about civil society actors, you talk about activists. We are not ready to emerge from the situation. First of all, in the role of an activist, we have a right to agitate for solutions. We have legal binding, even though we have some law contradicting. We need to be able to be robust. We need to be able to be as serious and very, very much vocal or compromise to be able to stand up for the truth. And that means ensuring our government is held accountable, ensuring that we landslide the political discourse and force some sort of non-political alliance that will be only to be able to speak on specific issue. And those are things that we have done lately. You lately saw the anti-rape campaign that we led. We saw several other people who were part of it, and we all have a responsibility as activists. Beyond just that, we should be able to bring solutions, engage in community, sensitize, and change the kind of misogynistic and patriarchal space we have in our society, where women can be taught to understand their role in society, where women can be taught to understand how to be able to defend themselves against predators. And beyond just those things, we civil society actors have to continue engagement. They have a role to be able to clarify policies. They have a role to be able to ensure that they have consistent consultation with the agencies that are directly charged with the mandate of ensuring a better safe society. They have a role to alter programs in the community, create standardized approach, revise our law, and every single things that we name. And we all have a responsibility. And sometimes you see me openly criticizing institutions like Ministry of Gender, Children, and Social Protection. I don't hate anyone. I neither hear the government of Liberia, neither do an opposition or anything. I'm just an independent free thinker. And that's how we all should be. We should be able to stand up for the truth, and that's matter. And you didn't mention celebrities too, but they have a responsibilities. They have very huge following, and I'm very proud of the kind of celebrities we have at the Red Just Ended March, and I think we can be able to keep on those things. And your role too as an institution, keeping out the virtual conversation, having a space where other people can follow the narrative, having activists, civil society actors, and all connected in one space to be able to dialogue, roadmap for sustainable approach against SGB. And I think this is just the best way and the best way forward for us as Liberians and as a society.
Okay. Thank you very much.
And just to what want to say, another group of people who play key role in the advocacy against sexual and gender-based violence could be the media. If you move to rural Liberia, you find out the media, it covers a huge portion. Most of the people depend on the media to get information and to be aware of what is happening. So the media, also civil society, can also use that too as an instrument to fight against this issue of rape and other forms of sexual and gender-based violence.
All right. Thank you. So,
Yeah, so
okay.
yeah. So she just mentioned the issue of empowering our journalists. And I like to, there's a project by the European Union, I think the other international organization called the Spotlight Initiative that is there to empower our journalists to report on sexual gender-based violence issues. I think it's really working, and we need to draw more attention to that because journalists should be a watchdog for the society. So I think when they are empowered, when they are trained, and then when these cases are reported, it also gives us a better understanding of how to approach them. But another way, we agree all of the protests and the awareness and work we have been doing. Yes, a little progress have been made, but I think we also need to look at the issue of teamwork. teamwork. We need to partner together as civil society group, partner with government, and also community ownership. We should allow communities to own the process. Because I tell you, if you do not allow communities to own the process, and if you go to a community to work, the moment your project money finish, you don't have any money, then the project ends right there. But when communities own the projects, the women leaders, the young people, the men, everybody own the project. Even if your project leaves that community, that structure should be a community structure. It should not be for the organization that is working in that particular community. Because I tell you, we do not live in all of the communities within Liberia. So communities members will help us to report those issues and even organize around those issues. So the issue of community ownership and partnership is very important in the fight against rape.
Thank you very much. Partnership is very much important. All right, so we will take another question and we will be left with 2 questions from the panelists, from the host, and we will be closing. So do we have any participants that have question? So no one has raised their hand. So Damaris.
Okay, if there's no question from our participants, our next question is, somebody spoke of us going back to our culture, going back to our tradition, and what have you. So there's this culture in among us where women bodies are disrespected, touch them unaware or inappropriately. It is an accepted practice where some women and girls find it as nothing the least to voice their anger. It happens at schools, job sites, and other places. If this was one reason why some men, boys are prone to carry on sexual violence, how can we undo this culture? How can we undo this culture of inappropriately touching ladies and we don't have problem with it and male do it? How can we undo that culture? How?
So, yeah, Damaris.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we can start the discussion. So also this thing is very good that you got such a question because it's common among us. Even in school, you see the boys putting their hand in the girls' skirts, in their pockets, at the working places, slapping you any part of your body. I think our body is our right and it's our choice. We should be able to decide. It's about the issue of consent and making decisions. Because there where you see we have the high rate of teenage pregnancy, the high rate of child marriage. Girls and young women should be able to control their bodies. We should be able to decide. So it's another thing that we should be able to teach. Another message that should go across is that you are the owner of your body. You should decide what happened. You should decide when you want to have sex. You should decide who touch you or not. So we should be teaching our boys about consent because the lack of information, I think, is another problem. So when the boys get to understand that before you touch a female, you should ask for, you should seek consent. You should not just do it because her body belongs to her. It's not for you. So I think the issue about us taking control about our bodies is very important in this case. Yeah.
Thank you. Who next? All right. Okay, go ahead.
Sorry, can you repeat the
Let's start to
question?
the point.
Peace? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, so I spoke about
Okay,
that issue where we find people touching people so easily in the forehead common. One of the things we need to tell people need to understand their rights in society. They need to know what is important that they do and those things that are violating their rights and how it leads to some of the problems we are talking about SGBV. One good message, one common message that I most often tell people is that anything that you do not appreciate, it's important that from the very start, you tell people that I don't like this and I don't want this happening and it should not continue anymore. I can tell you for free, if you stick to your principles, if you are a principle-minded person and you stick to those principles and you are able to stop whatever that starts, I believe that it's going to help in a huge way and address some of the problems that people feel that it is okay to deal with people like that. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Wanto?
Yeah, sure.
Again, you know, to address this issue, we should first start in the home. Mothers should begin to tell the girls that it is not appropriate to be touched. Sometimes we see people in the society, they touch the breast of the child, and they touch the hips, they tell the child that, oh, you are getting ripe. And all those comments, and then we just laugh about it. So I think it should begin with the mothers. Start to teach your children that it is inappropriate to be touched by strangers, by even relatives at these places. And also at the level of the schools, we start to educate our girls. There should be code of conduct in the various offices or institutions that will govern how people go about interacting with others. Because even at the office, you see people touching people on every part of the body have those things. And sometimes you try to correct it and people think that it's a norm. So everybody should be able to make an effort in terms of correcting that. And you can only be able to achieve that through awareness, through the development of code of conduct to govern how people interact with each other. But it's a serious issue that needs to be handled.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, so we go to Voice of Tabitha, Mr. Fraser.
Yeah, Luke.
Yes, go ahead.
Well, mine is a question. I really want to understand how we, if I say we, I'm talking about civil society actors because I'm one of those who I'm a journalist, but I'm also in the civil society sector. So what are mechanisms we are putting in place in terms of getting down to rural Liberia in a rural part of the country where our people still hold on to traditional leaders are not wrong? Meaning when these people go on, they are involved in the rape, the issue is being compromised because they feel these people are in leadership or they are traditional leaders or they are seen as people who are in high authority. So therefore, they should not, their name should not surface in issue as such. So what mechanisms are we putting in place as people, as civil society actors to make sure that such tendency or such thing can be eradicated or it can be stopped so as to be able to curtail the issue of rape in rural Liberia?
All right, Wanto?
Just to
Yeah, sure. Oh, okay.
Okay, Wanto, you can pick a.
So in terms of civil society institution, I mean, I've worked with Play International. The first thing that was set up was something that we call the Global Voice for Change project that connected the young civil society actors across the world to be able to converge and have discussion as such and to be able to take actions. I believe one of the most important aspects that civil society actors should be able to do is to create innovative programs that can be decentralized in community. And sometimes when we talk about government, we just use government as a direct repository space to take action. But we all are liable. We name institutions that Play International, Defense Security International, Action Aid, several other institutions, you will Save the Children, and then local decentralized grassroots or civil society institutions to be more involved in the community. We need to be able to understand the kind of pandemic we have with sexual and gender-based violence. Civil society institutions can also be able to sponsor affiliated task force program. They can be able to continue engaging in the media, create some sort of jingles and sensitization advertisement, and they can be able to create independent press statement to ensure government is held accountable. The role of ensuring that we have a just society is not only liable on activists. Civil society as an institution is more powerful than ever. And I'll tell you for real, so the UN have a civil society unit called the Department for Global Communications. And that unit is like a generalized unit that sort of connect civil society institutions from all across the world on different cool issues and SDGs, women empowerment, and so forth. The institution become the pinnacle and the stronger voice to be able to ensure certain progressive change are within the UN circle. And that's how civil society should be in Liberia. They should avoid the aspect of, oh, I'm going to lose my contract with the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection. I'm not going to be liable in good rapport with the government. We need to be able to step up and use some of the kind of spaces we have and platform to create programs and engage in community, decentralize our work, and build structures. And I think if we do that, that will be the best means of ensuring we have a very good society.
Thank you very much. Yeah, peace. Or you can
So, yeah, thank you, Luke. Yeah. Another thing I think about is like from that question that the guy from Tabata asked that community leaders, they have voice in the community and that people believe in them. That is true. When you work at the level of the community, the town chief, the paramount chief, and all of those elders in the town, they have so much influence over the people they lead. That is why it's important that when you do such advocacy, you have these people as key stakeholders involved with your project so that you can experience the desired change that you hope to see in your work that you do. The town chief in their communities, they don't have police officers, they don't have a lot of law enforcers, but the people believe them when the town chief says nobody come outside by 7 o'clock, nobody will come out at 7 o'clock because it is the town chief who is in control there. So when you go to the community and you do community entry and you incorporate the leadership of the town who has influence over the people they lead, it also provides you the opportunity to achieve the goal that you want to achieve. In most instances, when people conduct gender training, what they do is that they don't only conduct the gender training for the women, they also bring the men because they don't want the women to go back at the end of the day and start to effect the change that they learn and another person there is having problem with it. But when you bring these two group of people together and help them understand why it is important that they work this way, you're going to achieve whatever you want to achieve. Thank you again.
All right, thank you very much. So any response?
Yeah.
Okay, Pauline.
Yeah, so the question that he asked, what civil society group have been able to do at the level of the communities. So our ambassador of the Girls Advocacy Alliance project being implemented by Play International and DCI, also as a grassroots organizer. I gave you the example that the Girls Advocacy Alliance project aims to reduce violence against girls and young women and promote economic empowerment. Now, this cannot be possible without us working with traditional leaders. And this project is in 10 countries. In Liberia, I gave you Liberia example, we work with traditional leaders. If today girls can be able to go to school, I can tell you that one day will also be traditional leaders will be able to speak, as they are already speaking against the issue of child marriage and FGM. It's just a process. Remember years back, girls were not able to go to school, but now it's happening. So it's a process. We continue to engage traditional leaders. We are in that process and we are engaging them, we are talking to them. And want to talk about the issue of innovative ways. For example, like the issue of FGM is what many of the people see. Sometimes they see it as pleasure, they see it as a way that bring income for them. And in the villages, the people, most of them do not have any things to do. So they just see sex as a means of fun. A girl, you can have sex with a girl 13 years old. So we really got to create some innovative way and to empower them to at the level of their community and also give them the respect they deserve. But it's something that we are practicing. Even if Ghana can in Ghana the whole time was free from child marriage. Can you imagine that? We can do the same thing in Liberia. It's happening. So we just needed to keep the courage and then work with in partnership so that we can all achieve our agenda. And even you as a journalist.
All right. You. All right. Thank you very much. And thanks to Voice of Tabata for the question. So let's take this last question. And this is, we just want you to read the skill. What do you think about the government's response to rape and other SGBV cases? How will you rate their response on a scale of 1 to 10? So to begin with, did you get a question?
Yeah.
Okay.
My response might be terrible, but in terms of rating the major gender, children, and social protection and civil society institution, I will give them 3. We'll need to be very, I don't know if you guys read the 2019 HDI report. When we speak about rape, there are several other impediments that are filled in our society in terms of educational ratio, the gender imbalance in our society, women empowerment space where women can understand their role in society. In terms of providing a space of, we also have a very increasing rate of maternal mortality too. And so we have a sectoral space that have an opportunity to provide holistic approach on all of the gender issues we have. And the aspect of rape is not just immune to the kind of challenges we have in our society. It's not immune from several other challenges. And if you read the HGI report clearly, you definitely will see we have a society that is crumbling on providing a direct space that can relate to the gender issues we have. So you have education also. Girls are being poorly massively enrolled in school as compared to their male counterparts. You have also the issue of, I spoke of maternal mortality, and then they talk about rape also. Sexual and gender-based violence in our society is the worst we can find in Africa. It's the worst area in the world in terms of the report we have. We are 152 out of 156 in gender HCI report gender inequality. And women in Liberia and children in Liberia and everyone, women, men, and children, those entire variable of gender are being very, very much scarcely proportional to the vulnerability of sexual and gender-based violence. And so I wouldn't tell you the Ministry of Gender or Civil Society institutions are doing well. They are poorly performing because the statistic and assessment we have every single day, we have a child being raped. We have communities that are being or left vulnerable. We have counties that are being completely outcasted, no strategy, and absolutely nothing. And I think they still have a time to be able to do well, and I'm sure they can be able to step up. But this is a terrible and disgusting place.
Thank you very much. A terrible and disgusting place, and they were rated at 3. Yeah, 3. Okay, thank you very much.
Out.
Mistress Bormy, you are talking, but we're not getting you.
Falling.
Mistress Bormy? Okay, who next? Pauline, right? Okay, Pauline?
Yes.
So on a scale of 1 to 10.
I'll listen to your question, but okay, you can go ahead, Mom.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hello.
Yes, we are hearing you. Go ahead. We are hearing you. So on a scale of 1 to 10, what would be your score for government response to rape cases in SGBV? Okay, Pauline, while she's working on her audio, just pick it up.
Yeah, I think the issue here is to find a way forward because it has been proven that not much has been done. We have failed in our capacities. It's now time for a holistic approach. It's now time for the government of Liberia, civil society groups to know that we young people, we are affected by the issue and we better understand and we can give a way forward. So working as a team, a way forward. Many things have been said today. The issue of having a quoting out of the 15 counties, the issue of education, the issue of awareness. So that's the way forward. It has already been established that we are not much have been done. Yes, we have been working, but no, we have been sleeping, we have been crawling. It's now time that we have to run. And I think that the government is starting to run because we are being able to hold it accountable, and we should not keep silent. Conversations like these are having a live meetings. People are listening. This recommendation will be taken. We should not get tired of talking. It is our role, as Wanto said, we should hold government accountable. So running on.
Okay.
Hello?
Yeah.
Hello?
Reflecting on the way forward. Are you all hearing me?
Yes, we are hearing you now.
Reflecting on the way forward, I will borrow from the panelists, one of the panelists that spoke. First, I think we need to identify the root causes of sexual-based violence in our country, because once you can identify the causes, probably it will be linked to drug use, it will be linked to mental problems or other issues. You can easily find possible solution. Another important thing we need to do is to ensure that our political leaders muster the courage and they have the necessary political will, because you can do all that you can. If you do not have the political will from the leaders to fight sexual gender-based violence, you're not going to achieve any results. There are some issues that even the president can come out today, this very minute, and say that we are making a decision to end female genital mutilation, early marriages, forced marriages, trial by ordeal, all these things that affect women. And it will happen. But once the political will is absent, we are not going to be able to achieve our target goals. Yes, we have a plan, but my experience in terms of developing plans in Liberia, in most instances, those plans are developed, they are launched, and then afterwards, nothing happens. So we really need the political will to be able to drive this fight against gender-based violence. Without the political will of our leaders, our president, our vice president, our representatives, our senator, the judiciary branch of government, achieving results going to be very minimum or sometimes maybe impossible. So we need all actors to get on board and to start moving with one voice and not one group having one view and the other group think that it's just a political issue and they just want to make us look unpopular. It's about working together. We need to revise our laws. We need to strengthen our policies. We need to do awareness in communities, the civil society organizations. We need to reach out to the churches. There are a lot of rape cases coming from the churches. The schools, I work in the education sector for 6 years. There were a lot of rape cases in that sector, and in most instances, there were no redress. I went to schools where students told me that they were being raped. I took out the issues. Those issues were never solved. I liaised with the Ministry of Gender. There were no results. So there's a lot we need to do, and we can only be able to do those things if we work together as one nation, fighting to achieve one goal, which is eliminating sexual gender-based violence. We have the different policies. We have the national policy on girls' education. We have the national gender policy. We have the code of conduct for teachers, school administrators. We have the Child Rights Act. We got other international treaties, conventions, protocols. And they are all just there and we are not implementing. We need to also encourage, I see a lot of young men getting involved in the fight against rape. That's good. We need to encourage more men to come and serve as agents of change. So there's a lot we need to do, and we can only do that if we have the necessary political will.
All right. Thank you very much, Madam Peace.
Thank you.
Yeah, look, so the way forward, I think what most of the speakers have already mentioned some, but going back, I would like to encourage that we look at our laws again, our customary law. That law is undermined in the statutory rape law. We need to take a serious look at that. We need to go back to our tradition and see what are some of the issues we are having there. I also talk about the issue of compromise. Compromise is one of the things that is affecting our society. Compromise is also giving the space to would-be perpetrators to not be deterred, because they just believe that at the end of the day, we're going to talk a family way, somebody's going to receive some money and everything is over. We need to look at the issue of compromising rape cases in Liberia. And also the issue of survival, people depend on, is also tied with this issue of compromise, because this person can provide this for me. When I report this person, I wouldn't be able to get this, and this wouldn't happen. Family values. We find even in the home, women are covering cases of rape because they want to protect their family names and a lot of things. We need to also continue our awareness at the level of the community, at the level of the churches, like she said, at the level of the mosques, our religion. Our religion is one of the things that is affecting us, that is also contributing hugely to the issue of rape. Those are things we need to consider in our fight against rape, and to our national government to provide the necessary logistics for those charged with the responsibilities to handle rape cases in Liberia. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. It has been a really, really great pleasure having our panelists from Liberia and the diaspora. It has been a very interesting discussion. And like we said from the opening statement, we charge our participants and everyone here to be a messenger of anti-rape, carry the message to your various communities, and wherever you act, you should take the message that it is everyone collective efforts we can use to actually arrest this situation. It needs every hands on deck. So our panelists have been Madam Anne Dora-Bormin. She co-chairs the board, Liberia Sexual and Gender-Based Violence Awareness Movement. Mr. Wanto Tiawanto, he's also the co-founder of Youth Leader for Global Change and the African Diaspora Youth Network. Ms. Abigail B.L. Freeman, she's also represented the Alliance for Gender Justice and Human Rights. Ms. Pauline Gatte, she's also a dedicated girls' rights advocate at Plan International and Defense for Children International. Ms. Fidela Ann Maria Shabani, she's also represent Youth for Change Incorporated. And Madam P. Storr Mantel Boy, she is an activist and deputy program manager at NABLE Partner for Democratic Development. She's also a multitask and coordinates a series of projects at that institution. So we want to say thank you so much to our panelists. You actually make this day a complete success. And also to our partners, KNTV, Spoon TV, Voice of Tabitha, MCCTV, and our sponsor, Mistress Joanne David. We also want to say thank you very much. And to my co-host, Damaris ME Jackson, she's also represented our institution, Book Before Boards. We want to say thank you. I have been Lucra, the Executive Director of the Inspiring Children Dreams Ministry. And many thanks to our viewers on KNTV, MCCTV, Spoon TV, Voice of Tabitha, and our participant here from China and from US and other parts of the world. We want to say thank you very much. It has been a pleasure, and have yourself a wonderful day. Thank you.